Welcome now, Professor Ariel Cohen, Senior Fellow at the Atlantic Council, joining us from Washington, D.C. Ariel, I know it might seem obvious for some, but the question is, why was Russia reluctant to bail the regime out this time around? Is it because they're occupied with their own war in Ukraine?
Three things. One, Russia is occupied in Ukraine. Two, everybody was surprised. Nobody had enough time to assess intelligence and realize how quickly the Assad regime will fall. And three, while the relationship between Russia and Turkey were deteriorating, and I see reports that Putin is mad at Erdogan, Putin didn't realize how deliberately Erdogan is willing to punch against his and Iranians' client, Bashar al-Assad. And I would also add, it was self-inflicted because the tip of the spear in Syria for the Russian power projection was a Wagner group. Remember Wagner rebellion? It sounds like ancient history, but it was in summer of 23 that Yevgeny Prigozhin, the head of Wagner, rebelled against Putin. So once Wagner was put down, there was nobody there in Syria to fight on behalf of Russia.
Well, Ariel, so now what does this mean for Russia's ties to the Middle East? Could they be losing some of these ties to the region? And then perhaps what will they do to try and maintain some resemblance of power in the Middle East?
It's challenging because I see reports now the giant Russian transportation airplanes that brought equipment to the Khmeimim air base in Syria are back there again, probably taking the equipment out, taking the Russian troops out. So it looks like, and I don't have independent confirmation, it looks like Russia may be evacuating the Khmeimim air base. There was also a report that the Russian ships left the Tartus base. So it could be that Russia is folding. The main thing is whether the rebels in Syria, HTS, etc., are going to roll over the Alawi enclave and take over it. Because if Alawi enclave doesn't survive, there's no way Russia can keep these bases. But more importantly are two other things. Both Russia and Iran build their strategy of pushing out the pro-Western, pro-U.S. forces out of the Middle East on Syria. Syria was key to resupply Hezbollah. Syria was key for Russian power projection, not just in the Mediterranean. They don't have any other military bases in the Mediterranean basis, but also to project power further into the Middle East and into Africa. Now it's finished. And then the question is, will Russia and Iran continue their cooperation? There are a lot of reports that we see that Iran may accelerate its nuclear program. Will Russia stand by Iran? Would Russia, for example, give Iran warhead technology? Because nuclear warhead technology is complicated. Iran probably doesn't have it. It's not clear if North Korea has it or not. So if the United States and or Israel decide to develop the success now and take out the Iranian nuclear weapons, to what extent Russia is willing to stand by Iran, and with what means, as Russia is bombed out
How
in
these
Ukraine.
two allies might stay together certainly should be interesting in the coming weeks. Ariel Cohen, thank you so much for your insight and for joining us.
Thank you.